Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, welcome to the Harmon Museum's Lunch and Learn for October. I'm John Zimkus, the Education Director and Historian here, and I would like you at this time, if you haven't already done so, to silence your cell phones while you are here. And while you're doing that, I'll give you a little commercial as to what's going on in the museum. On November 11th and 12th, we're going to have our flea market here, Friday and Saturday, 10 to 4. Some great things, everything from furniture to Disney collectibles. So please come in and join us and pick up some good bargains. We have currently, now with your admission charge here, the museum is open to you. We have a fantastic display. It is a gem of a show, and that's what it's called, a gem of a show. And we have gems from all over the world on display, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy that. That is on our main floor, which on the elevator is floor 1. As you enter the elevator from the transportation room, that is B, press 1, and the doors will open up right at the gem show. So I hope you will take advantage of that. Also, we have November 25th and 26th, and again on December 2nd and 3rd in here, a tiny train display. Fantastic. The gentlemen spend hours and hours and years collecting this. It's totally free. Does not have anything to do with the museum. There's no charge whatsoever. If you do visit it and then care to go to the museum, there will be an admission charge there, but for the holidays, it's fantastic. If you like miniature trains, or you know someone who does, they will thoroughly enjoy that. Glendower will be open for Christmas this year, but slightly different, only by appointment and only for groups of 10 or more. So if you would like to visit Glendower for Christmas, and gather some friends together, give us a call, set up an appointment, and we will accommodate you on the day you wish to visit. We also have, we've done this twice before, and it's really quite great. A Christmas Carol, the radio play. I think we did the first time was about 7-8 years ago, and then about 3 years after that or so, it'll be on 3 performances, December 9th, 10th, and a matinee on the 11th. Sound effects, radio actors, really quite good. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy that. We have a black and white New Year's Eve ball going on New Year's Eve, December 31st, from 6 to 10. A chance to dress up and come and enjoy, and it's over at 10 o'clock. So you please take advantage of that. As far as lunch and learns go, coming up in November, we have Thanksgiving, a fabricated holiday. Fred Compton, our very good friend, he's been doing a November or December lunch and learn for us for 8 years or better. He'll be talking about how Thanksgiving became a holiday and how it was somewhat made out of whole cloth, as they say. December 14th, Christmas Collectibles of the Past, a dime store Christmas. Linda Martin, who is with us today, there she is. You may recall, if you've been here for our Lunch and Learns, a year or so ago, she did a fantastic thing on her Halloween collections from the 1920s all the way to the 1960s. Well, she has another collection, not quite as expansive, but still quite good, and it's all about Christmas decorations from almost the same period. And it's something I think you'll enjoy. And please come, because it gives her husband the time to clean that part of the basement. In January, our good friend Joyce Browning. If you've been here a while, you've met Annie Oakley, you've met the grave robber from Cincinnati, you've met Martha Washington. Was it Laura Ingalls something? I forget the last name. Yeah. Yes. Well, no, it's not the writer. This is a true story of a lady who was captured by the Shawnees in the 1750s. But she's coming back as Lottie Moon, Carlotta Moon, who lived in Oxford, Ohio, who was a Confederate spy. And really quite fascinating story. I will have the privilege of being your speaker on February 15th, just 3 days after Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and I'm going to be talking about Abraham Lincoln's many connections to Lebanon and Warren County. He really does have one. As some of you may know, I taught 7th grade for a number of years, Ohio history. And the way my mind works, I often come up with things that would fascinate 7th graders. As you also may know, I'm also the historian of the Golden Lamb. I'll be there working tonight. But one of the things I love to tell young people when they come, if you know, if you think of all the bearded presidents and you exclude Abraham Lincoln, he's the only one who didn't, with a beard, the only one with a beard who did not visit the Golden Land and was not born in Ohio. So if you can't tell a Garfield from a Hayes, from a Benjamin Harrison, they all look like they belong on Smith Brother cough drop boxes, but they were presidents. They were born in Ohio. And if you add Taft with his mustache, Ohio does lead the United States in hairy presidents. So it is, we'll be talking about somewhat more seriously than that. As far as our talk today, our topic is, what are you wearing? A history of fabric. There is something very special. There's a lot of reasons this is a special presentation. One of them is our speaker is Jeanne Doan. She gets to be in front of the audience instead of behind it for the first time in a long time. Also, we have a sponsor of this Lunch and Learn, which is the Ohio Endowment for the Humanities, which is fantastic. And hopefully this will be the first of many sponsors we will have for our Lunch and Learns. Jeanne was born in Illinois. She lived for a while in New Jersey, Illinois, Indiana, Nevada, and even Stuttgart, Germany. Came to Ohio in the year 2000. Her husband is a retired sports car company employee. He worked for Porsche of North America. They have 3 children and 1 grandson. She got her BS degree in fine arts and with a minor in museum studies, which I believe you said was called museumology? Museology from the University of Nevada, Reno. Years ago, she read an article from a former employee of the Historical Society in the Deerfield Township newsletter in 2010 that the Warren County Historical Society was looking for volunteers. And so she came to volunteer. And she soon signed up, and eventually her involvement, initially it was research, I believe. Because I remember seeing you in the research library quite a bit.
I was cataloging all the shaker paraphernalia and things that we have in the boxes, and taking inventory of all the books, yes.
Okay. Well, it soon expanded. By 2014, she was named an exhibit curator. Then she became the curator of textiles. And now she is the assistant executive director. Now that all sounds like it's a promotion, but it's not. It's all added responsibility.
That's right.
So you did a great job. Here's more to do. Oh, fantastic. Let's give you another title and more to do.
And not money, yeah.
During our cemetery tour, Becca McLaughlin is with us, and many times she has played Hazel Spencer Phillips in our Lebanon cemetery tour. And one of the things I always say about Hazel Spencer Phillips, she had her fingerprints are on everything in the museum. Well, I think Jeannie's about to surpass her. But because Jeannie, her fingerprints are on before things take place. She was mopping the floor here on Monday. She and I helped set up the tables. She probably made the coffee.
Yeah, I did.
And when it's all over, she'll be putting things away. She is here constantly. There really should be a movement to make this the Jeanne Doan Museum. But Jeanne Doan sounds like a law firm.
It does. Yeah.
But she's a nice lady too. I am very proud to introduce to you our speaker today. She has said she has grown into the job, and the job has grown as well, as I just explained. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeanne Doan.
Thank you, John. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Mom, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for coming. When I did start coming to the museum as a volunteer, Vicki said, well, do you know anything about textiles? No. What would you like to be the textile curator? Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. Not knowing at all what it took to do that. We have an extensive textile collection. And as I have learned and as I've gone along, I got more and more interested in it. And I have a daughter who graduated from CCM with the costuming major. So she's also pointed out certain things to me, and if I have a problem, I call her. So what we're going to look at today, I got interested in after reading several books. One of them is called The Perfect Red. Okay? Now, in clothing, there's a beginning point. And so where we're going to begin is the very beginning of what humans had to wear. They had to wear something because it's cold out there. Even if it's not cold, you want to cover up your skin so it doesn't burn or get windburned. So you have to cover up with something. And so we're going to learn a little bit about the history of where it all started. All right, so what we first ask you is, what are you wearing? What's everybody wearing? We have clothing that has been developed over millennia, and we don't even know where it even came from. All right, so our first slide here is going to be a big thank you. This presentation is brought to you by the Ohio Humanities. Thank you. Yes, appreciate it, because they are the ones who have supplied us with, you probably have noticed, these beautiful black boxes. Mine has Jeannie's box on it. But what's in the box is going to be samples of everything that we are going to be learning about. We're going to be learning about 4 different fabrics, 4 different fibers, and each one is in there. So if you would like to put a box in front of you and open it up and take a look inside, we're going to find out what we have in there. As you can see, we thank the Ohio Humanities on the front and the side, because they were very generous in getting us this, the money for these samples. The samples that you're seeing are from Etsy. Yay! And they're from all over the world. All over the world. All over the world. So we're going to start with the very oldest sample, the very oldest things that we were wearing. And first one is, oh, isn't that goofy? Animal skins. I think this is a bit much, okay? This man has on probably 30,000 rabbit skins. And who do you think sewed those up? All right. Well, there's not enough rabbits in the world to just do us all, okay? So the next one will be, I wanted to point out Ötzi. Everybody heard of Ötzi. He was found up in the Alps, frozen solid, and he had all his paraphernalia around him because he died and it all got covered up. So the first thing that we're going to learn about is weaving. Where did it come from? Who invented it? Well, they must have invented it at least 5,300 years ago because Ötzi had a woven grass cape. Now it was just little bits and pieces that were left, but this is what it looked like. And what grass has on it, it has a cuticle on it that rain and water can just come off. So that's what he has. Now, let me remind you about what weaving is, all right? It is the up and down motion of the warp thread, which is wrapped around here and taken that way. It is put in the harnesses, which make the threads go up and down to make a certain pattern, all right? Then you have the reed, which makes the warp thread tight up against everything and then makes this pattern. And then you have woven cloth that goes around the cloth roll. Now, what we're also seeing is that you can make it really simple. You can make it out of rocks and sticks and whatever you have around, and it can be it can work really perfectly, a simple loom. This, of course, we've all seen. You can get these at Hobby Lobby. But they made these thousands and thousands of years ago, all right? Same pattern. Of course, this is industrial strength, all right, where you have a million different types of patterns you can make. All right, the baskets, the containers over here, built in 5,400 years ago, are made of willow. So they looked at nature and they saw, you know, hey, if these birds can do it, we can do it, right? We can use these for something. Slippers made from reeds, 9,300 years ago, they made these slippers. What's amazing about this is that they're still around. Materials such as fibers, hair, that sort of thing, even wood, totally disappears when it gets wet, when it gets dirt on it, when it gets any kind of other acidic thing on it. It just disappears and disintegrates. So it's amazing that it's still here. Okay, we're going to start with linen. Linen is the oldest fabric known. All right, 36,000 years ago, they're finding pieces of linen. Somebody decided to take a big string of grass and weave it. We're geniuses. We're geniuses. So in this box, you're going to find a piece of flax string. It's the same string they used 36,000 years ago. It's the same thing. We're still using it.
It's a plant.
It's a plant. Yes. Here we go. Next is a field of flax. This is a field of flax. Flax is a beautiful plant, has a gorgeous blue, sky blue flower, and it is just a beautiful sight when you see one. It likes morning dew. So it likes it kind of hot, but it likes its morning dew. So that tells you that it likes more of a temperate zone, right? Not tropical, not freezing. They like it kind of temperate. Now, this is a stack of flax that is dried. It still has its seed. And the thing about flax is that it has to be pulled from the ground. It cannot be cut. So pulling it from the ground is manual labor, and they still do that. I mean, I think they have built a machine that probably can pull it, but if you break it off, it ruins so you have to pull it, roots and all. So you have a real long stalk with seeds all over it. Everybody's heard of linseed oil, or what? Linseed oil, flaxseed, you eat it in your bread. That's it. Okay, the thing about linen is, it's very labor intensive, all right? So what they had to do is they pulled it up, put it in stocks actually, and then put it in a pond to make it kind of rotten. Oh, the smell. So they had to leave it in there until it got a little brown. Then you got it and you dried it a little bit and you put it on a break. First you did the rippling comb, excuse me. You did the rippling comb to get the seeds off because you're going to save the seeds for later, for another, and then you're going to break it. Really, B-R-A-K-E. You're going to break the outside hull. All right, and then you're going to put it in the hackles. Now the hackles look a lot like this, but some of them are finer and finer and finer and finer. And then you put it over a scutcheon. You put it over this big board and you smack it with a board. And you do this over and over again. And you do this over and over again until you get a nice fine thread. Takes a long time. Takes a whole families. That's what you had kids for, right? Go beat on the linen. Hurry it up. And then you put this beautiful hank of flax, and that's where you get the flaxen hair because it's beautiful, kind of golden brown. And this is a nice small little one that you would spin it into a thread, and that's the thread that you would make. That's the thread that you would put on your loom as the weft, and then you would warp it, okay? So it would make something from that, and it would be a long piece of cloth. And what happened to this is they started cottage industries, okay? Your whole family would get into this. Whole families would get into making flax and making linen. You would have it for yourself. You would make your sheets, some blankets, maybe a dress, maybe some underwear if you had some left over. And if you had a big bunch of it, you could sell it. So that was your cottage industry. That's how you would get some money. Now let's take a look at this. This here is in our collection. This is one of my oldest pieces. This was made by Thankful Warren Ballard. All right? This was homemade, homespun. This means that the flax was made here in Ohio, and it was spun into, she had to go through that whole process to get it to that loom. So she went through that whole process and made this a sheet. This is a sheet. This is from 1843. This is one of my oldest pieces. Okay, you can see that it got a little wore out here and there, but she fixed it. She fixed it right here. This is the fixing part where she put some more on there. And that would be about as much as you would get. You would make your, about this wide. See, this is your loom right here. And then you make some more and you'd add it on to the side to make it big enough for one person. So this was your linen. I want you to notice that it is still stained. Human beings have lots of fluids and semi-fluids and solids, and they're still on there. We do not wash this. We do not hang it wet. It is hung by the muslin, by some pins, and it will be taken down and preserved again in an acid-free box with acid-free paper. And that's what's preserving it and conserving it for our museum. All righty. Okay, let's go on. And this is a sample of linen. This is very fine linen. Thing about flax also, the younger that you pull it up, the finer it is. So if you wait till it was, that real dark, that means it's a coarser flax. So if you've seen some beautiful linen, the most thin that you could see, that is really young flax as well. All right, next. Wool. Okay, we all know that wool was an amazing product coming from sheep. Very, very old people have been taking hair off of sheep and goats for just to keep warm, just to make things out of, make their tents, make everything. And this is a lot how they can get it too. It comes off the fence, or it comes off and they go, hey, this is really soft. I think I'll sleep on this. So this is finding sheep's wool. Now, they bred sheep to do it. They bred sheep to make as much hair as possible. Okay? We have in your sample box many, many different types of wool. And I also want to point out this beautiful sample from all over the world. We have Norwegian, and we have, let's see, from New Zealand, just everywhere. Beautiful. This is Netherlands. They bred them for different purposes, for different lengths and different softnesses. Alrighty? That's what's in your, you have a real nice curly one there. That's a cool one. So as you can see, they bred the poor things to make as much hair as possible to make the most money. And of course, they have to be shorn and sheared in the spring so that they don't die of heat.
So they
But
once a year?
do it, they only do it once a year. Once a year, yeah. And some sheep grow longer types of hair and coarser types of hair. So yeah, but only once a year as far as I know. Now, again, it is carded. Actually, first they wash it because it's filled with lanolin, which makes our lotions and things. It's very oily from the sheep itself. And they wash it, they card it to make it soft and all the fibers to go the one way. Then they spin it, and then that's her spinning right there. And that, again, you can have a big spinning wheel or you can have a little spinning wheel. It doesn't matter, they'll both do the same job. Alrighty? Again, you can do a cottage industry with that. You can grow your own sheep. You can shear them and do all the carding and even make blankets or whatever. This blanket here is from 2,500 years ago. So now, again, as an organic material, it doesn't last forever. So once it gets dirty and in somebody's grave, it really rots really fast. So this is amazing. Then you still see the structure of the up and down and in and through and around of the weaving. What we're going to see now is this guy. This is a blanket. This is in our collection. This is from the Springboro Woolen Mill. The Springboro Woolen Mill was built in the 1830s by Jonathan Wright and his wife. They are the ones who mapped out and founded Springboro. So this was the industry that he said, hey, we really need a woolen mill. So they built this mill and it went and worked until the 1920s. Wool was made there and woven there. As you can see, it is undyed. It is really coarse, really scritchy. It has been put together right here to make one big blanket. Then waste not, want not, right? It has one hole in it. It is really just your basic blanket. One to take with you if you're going across the country. One to just keep you warm at night. And it's just really very, very basic. And I also want you to come up and look at these beautiful samples of all the different wools that can be gotten from all over the world. All right, okay, silk. All right, silk. Let me, right here in your box, there should be a piece of, it looks like something you put on your finger. This is a silk cocoon. We got these on Etsy. What's really different about these is they come in like 100 and you can put them on your fingers and you wash your face with it. I said, you would? Well, it seems a little bit much, doesn't it? Give it a try when you get it home, but you feel it. This has a lot of substance to it. I think that they toughened them up a little bit, because if I show you what the silk looks like, you'll notice that it's a little tougher. This, of course, is the silkworm. This awful looking white thing, which is eating a white mulberry leaf. It doesn't eat the berries, it doesn't eat the stems or the branches, it eats just the leaves. Now the rumor is, or the myth, is that a cocoon, just like this, fell in the Empress's tea one night while she was having tea out in the garden. And as she watched it, which I can't imagine she'd just sit and watch, but she'd go, come and get this, it's gross. She watched it, the threads started to unwind, and they got interested in looking and seeing. And this was a long time ago. This was the 4th millennium BC, before. All right? So they started to develop the silk trade. And this is the life cycle of a silkworm. It's a tiny little worm, and it eats itself till it's huge. Okay? Then it makes this floofy cocoon. Then when it hatches out of that, it becomes either a male or female. It breeds, lays its eggs, and dies. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
What's the life cycle? How long do they live?
Oh, how long do they live? I think I read it's like 3 weeks. I mean, it's not much. It's not much, and you're constantly, when you are a sericulture, it's called sericulture, working with silk and having this constant thing, you're constantly feeding them, finding the cocoons. They do sometimes kill what's inside so that they can get the silk, but you have to keep some so you have more. So you have to know exactly when the right time to take the caterpillar and do what you want with it. But that's all its life is breeding and dying. That's it. It doesn't fly either. It has just cursory wings just for looks, I guess. Now, in the Chinese culture, and the Chinese had it for millennia without anybody knowing about it. So they really developed some very early machines. I mean, of course, that is the twisting mill, the winding of the clews on the bobbins. This is warping, and then, of course, reeling and doweling, and then this is the weaving. And they would make silk in order to, for the rich. Everybody who had money had a beautiful robe and silk. Now, this is what developed from that, is the Silk Road. Finally, the secret got out, got to Japan, got to Korea, and everybody wanted it. So they developed a huge Silk Road that went through Upper China into India, Persia, and then back over to Europe, because all the Europeans wanted it. Everybody wanted it. So remember this, they also had the sea routes and overland routes. Remember these, because these are important. And I will send you right over here to some of the things that we have here at the museum. Now, silk was used for the fancy stuff, okay? I don't have real old silk dresses or anything like that. I do. However, they're very fragile, so I don't bring them out very often. Also, when they finished the silk, a lot of times the chemicals that they used made it break, almost like a paper, just crack. So they call it cracking. So these are some of the things that I have that have been handmade and hand woven. This, of course, is a lace. This would be done bobbin lace. This was woven. As you can see that it starts to pull away. And this was woven, this is the warp and the weft right here. So this is the weft is right here and the warp is inside and finished right on the side. Now this is a beautiful little handkerchief that has been embroidered with silk. Alrighty? So fancy stuff. None of the stuff that you'd use every day because it was too precious and not washable. Okay? Silk has properties that doesn't like water. It doesn't like water. So we're going to go on to cotton. Cotton, of course, in your box is this right here. We got these from China. These right here. You can get them and order them. And if you notice, if you take off the cotton ball, there's no seeds. So they took the seeds off, rolled up the cotton balls, and glued it back on. Okay. Well, the seeds are pretty precious. Well, you want more plants, plus you like cottonseed oil, right? You use that for cooking and eating and sort of thing. But I thought that was kind of weird that I thought I'd get real ones and I got fake ones. Wow, okay. That looked like real ones, right? And then the cotton material, oh, that's one thing I didn't show was well, okay. Cotton material looks very much like linen, okay? Both fibers, both plant fibers, okay? So they're very much alike, and they have the same properties as each other, so that's why they're cotton. This is a beautiful cotton flower, alrighty? Kind of pretty, looks a little bit like a hibiscus, you know? And this, of course, is the bole, B-O-L-E. This is what develops after the bugs have gotten to it and pollinated. Okay, so this is the bole, and these are the seeds. They're extremely sticky, very sticky. And it took a person probably a week to get 50 pounds of fiber without the seeds, just to pick them out by hand. It took them that long to do it. So it was a luxury item for a while there because having enough cotton to make something with took a long time and was very labor intensive, all right? Until this guy, Eli Whitney. Eli Whitney was living at the farm of Mrs. Green. She was the widow of Colonel Green, General Green, excuse me, from the Revolutionary War. George's personal friend. And she was a widow, and she was complaining that the cotton just took too long to get the seeds out. So he started dinking with it. He started making machines. He also had a guy helping him. Now, nobody knows his name. His name was Phineas Miller. He was sort of the co-founder, the co-inventor of the cotton gin. The cotton gin. The cotton gin is actually cotton engine, but they shortened it to cotton gin, where it would comb the seeds and put them over here and put the good stuff over here, or vice versa. I don't know how this exactly works, but you could see the teeth that they had to use and that comb and brush that had to be used. It made cotton so much more productive to do that. They could make building-sized cotton gins and produce more and more of the fabric and more of the fiber in order to send it to mills to make beautiful clothing, cloth, anything that you can imagine. And that's where the cheap labor came in too. Here in America, we had the cheapest labor that you could have, and it just made it more and more economical to have cotton instead of, say, linen, right? Okay. Right now, it's grown in China mostly, usually by families, again, because they hand pick it. In China, they also hand pick it in India, and they also pick it in Egypt. There's a real line of perfect hot, humid weather that Cotton just absolutely loves. All right? And let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Anyway, let me show you the last piece that I have. Now, John had been talking about Abraham Lincoln. And this piece was discovered while I was looking about Rachel Lincoln Drake. I played her in the Lebanon, or the Pioneer Cemetery Tour. Pioneer Cemetery Tour. Very interesting woman who was probably around 35 when she got married finally. Was a Sunday school teacher, was a missionary, and when she finally married Colonel Drake, Colonel Lewis Drake, we have a picture of him in our museum. You'll notice that he's got one blue eye, one brown eye. You might not have seen it, but he was about in his 60s. Anyway, but he had 6 kids after his wife died, so he was looking for somebody, right? And she thought this would be a good idea. She had one son, and his name was Dr. Drake as well, right? Dr. Lincoln Drake. Yes. So she is the second cousin of Abraham Lincoln. She created this bedspread. It has a top part too that's not fringed, but we wanted to hang it up here gently. She created this in the last year of her life, 1848. All right, she started this. It would be her pièce de résistance, her masterpiece. The embroidery is gorgeous. She's got French knots and a satin stitch and this really nice net stitch right here and chain stitch. She just did an awesome job, and it's all cotton. All cotton. You can tell where she has sewn it together right here, and she's even got, these are like fluffy, like chenille fluffs right here. So she has done an awesome job, and what we do is we preserve it again. We'll take it down and we'll put it in an acid-free box with acid-free paper. All right? Now, what I was going to show you up here is I do have some conservation tips on cotton and linen. They are very close together. Cotton is king because it is so much easier to make than linen. Linen is still a luxury item because it's made in the Netherlands the old-fashioned way. Now, we do still have lots of flax seeds and linseed oil and that sort of thing. That's what we grow here in America. We don't necessarily make a flax fabric or a linen fabric. They make it over in Europe. All right? So I have conservation tips. Textile conservation tips are here. These are from Sue Studebaker. I don't know if anybody knows that name, but she was a conservationist here at Warren County Historical Society. She gave many, many lectures on quilts and furniture and you name it, antique. She was the lady to go to. I also have some conservation tips on silk. This is from, our silk today was sent to us from the Ukraine. We actually got silk from the Ukraine in August. So it was still during this conflict that they're having, this war that they're having. Her name is Anna Plinskaya from Irkutsk, Ukraine. And these are her tips on how not to ruin your silk. Any kind of silk, it doesn't have to be antique silk. This is just regular silk. And I also have something about her experience that she's still doing the silk business even though she's got war going on in her country. The Silk Spirit Store is a family-run business. 3 generations of women have been sewing silk clothing with great love for the female body. The material is absolutely organic, hypoallergenic, delicate, and weightless. We have worked hard to make perfect patterns, and we had to survive in harsh conditions for more than 3 months without food and medicine, without water. The war showed real values. The war showed humanity, compassion. When the war began, many had nowhere to run and hide. We took with us my friend and her 2 children, one in a wheelchair, and her mother, and 2 very old neighbors. They would have died because terrible things were happening and there was no food in the stores for the first month. We were starving. Only children and old people ate. 2 of our cats and 1 more we picked up on the street. It was terrible. We were 3 children, 3 cats, 5 old men and 5 old women. We survived, all healthy, I'm sure, because we were together. It is now stabilized. We resumed work and are used to explosions. I know it sounds scary, but it's true. We are used to and resigned to the fact that tomorrow may not come. We have difficult conditions. Right now, it is imbued with incredible love for life, human, and the world as a whole. We are proud to be Ukrainians and are proud that our products are worn in different parts of the world. And we are eternally grateful for everyone's support and for supporting our business. So I also have an address if anybody needs any silk, because she sells it by the bolt. It's pretty amazing that she can still do that during these war times. All right, let's see. And then I also have, one of the things that we have to do in the textile lab is figure out what we're working with. This is a burn chart, meaning that sometimes we take a tiny little piece of our fabric and burn it and find out what it is, because it has a certain smell, it has a certain ash, it has a certain crunchiness or meltiness to it, and this will tell you what it is. I mean, it's not something that you want to go around doing. It's only when necessary. Connie and I were trying to figure out a comforter, a coverlet, and it was linen, but the other didn't look quite like wool because it was pretty hard. We did burn a tiny little piece of it, and it was wool. It's just really, really old and filled with junk, filled with stuff. And if anybody has any questions on textiles, any at all, a lovely lady named Jeanne Thomas, she was a book collector. She loved to get the books. And I have about 2,000 textile books in the Jeanne Thomas Textile Library in my textile office. So if you need anything, a question about textiles, come and look it up. All righty. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeanne, so very much.
Thank you.
We've got the teas for the next lecture. Now, it'll be, probably the earliest it'll be June or July next year. But please remember, there is a 10% discount at the gift shop today because you were here. Also, the gem of a show is going on. As you walk into the transportation room, the elevator is on the right. Press floor 1, and there is the gem show. So thank you, and hopefully we'll see you next month when we talk about the origins of Thanksgiving.
Let me thank a couple more people too, all right? I couldn't have done this without Sue Watts. She is my grant writer and a good person to prod you along to get stuff done. She's excellent. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Lisa and Nancy and Connie and Kathy, who aren't here, for helping me put these up. We did this, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I couldn't put them up any sooner. You don't want them to be out getting dirty. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue.